At my wedding, my fiancé's ex-boyfriend showed up wearing the exact same suit as me just to crash it. She turned to me and said, "I'm sorry, Sincere, I still can't forget Ethan." Without hesitation, she abandoned me. She ran off, leaving me alone on the stage, forced to endure the mockery coming at me from every direction. Then, while I stood there humiliated, Ethan's fiancée, dressed in her own wedding gown, walked straight towards me. "If she won't marry you, I will," she said. "Are you sure?" I looked at the woman extending her hand toward me, honestly a little stunned. I'd heard that she and Ethan Chandler had been together for years, deeply in love. Why would she suddenly propose marrying me? I felt ridiculous for even asking myself that, but before I could overthink it, Victoria Mason decisively took the ring box from my hand, pulled out the groom's ring, and slid it onto my finger. Then she held out her own left hand, her eyes sparkling as she smiled at me. "Oh, Sincere Lawrence," she said. "I graduated from a top university, I'm educated, and our family companies already cooperate in different ways. Even though I didn't take over my family's business, I've made a name for myself in modeling these past few years. I have a career, I'm capable, and frankly, I'm better looking than your ex-fiancée, Felicia Fletcher. Marrying me isn't exactly a downgrade for you." With her laying everything out so clearly, hesitating would have made me less of a man. I took the ring off my finger and tossed it back into the box. Her expression shifted instantly, her lips pouting slightly as she stared at me. I smiled and said, "No, it's just that this ring isn't your size. We'll go get new ones custom-made later." I glanced around the wedding venue, the one I had meticulously prepared, feeling only a bitter irony. "And since I'm marrying you," I said, "I want to give you the best. I don't want you to settle for someone else's leftovers. Let's go get the marriage license first. Give me 3 days, and I'll give you a wedding that belongs only to us." Victoria's smile returned immediately, and she came over and linked her arm through mine. Without even changing our clothes, we headed straight to City Hall. Amidst the congratulatory gazes of the staff, we received the marriage certificate that was uniquely ours. After ordering the new rings and dropping Victoria home, I had just arrived back at my own place when Felicia Fletcher showed up. The wedding dress from the morning was long gone, replaced by a tight, form-fitting dress with a high collar that didn't quite hide the faint red marks on her neck and chest. It seemed that besides getting married, she and Ethan had already consummated their marriage too. Seeing me, Felicia put on a fawning smile. "Darling, you're back," she said. I immediately took a step back, avoiding her outstretched hand. "Miss Fletcher," I said coldly, "shouldn't you be spending your wedding night with your husband instead of coming to my house?" Her smile froze. She looked at me with a hurt expression. "Sincere, do you really have to be so sarcastic? Does hurting my feelings make you happy? Sometimes you just have to laugh when you're completely speechless." Felicia abandoned me at the altar and ran off with another man, and she thought I was the one hurting her feelings. She disappeared for a day and came back covered in another man's marks, but somehow I was the bad guy. And now a single sarcastic sentence from me wounded her delicate heart. Her heart must be incredibly fragile. Seeing the displeasure written all over my face, she finally seemed to remember her outrageous actions from today. Squeezing out a few tears, she softly tried to explain, I didn't mean to leave you like that today. It's all Ethan's fault. He begged me to help him put on an act to provoke his girlfriend, that model Victoria Mason. You know her, right? You know how much I hate her. So when Ethan asked for my help, I agreed. I didn't realize our weddings would end up on the same day, but it was such a rare chance to crush my archenemy. How could I possibly miss it? The more she talked, the more justified she sounded in her own mind. She casually crossed her legs and said, "Don't worry. Ethan and I have it all figured out. During the day, we'll pretend to be a couple to annoy Victoria, but I'll still come back and spend the nights with you. Worst case, once Victoria gets on her knees and begs Ethan for forgiveness, you and I can just have another wedding." How could she even say something like that? What the hell did she think marriage was, a children's game of house? Struggling to suppress the fury burning inside me, I said coldly, "Felicia Fletcher, whatever absurd stunt you and Ethan get up to is none of my business anymore. I don't have a cuckold fetish, and I sure as hell will not share my wife with another man. Now please get the F out of my house." It was the first time I had ever spoken to Felicia so harshly. She shot up from her seat, staring at me in disbelief. Sincere, Lawrence, what do you mean? She cried. I laughed coldly. When you let go of my hand at the wedding and left with Ethan, I said, I thought we already broke up. I expected her to show at least a sliver of regret at hearing this. Instead, she rolled her eyes. Sincere, I already explained Ethan and I are just pretending. And you trying to threaten me with a breakup? Are you still a 3-year-old? My patience was worn thin. Without another word, I called Mrs. Davis, the housekeeper, and asked her to show Felicia out. Rejected repeatedly, Felicia stood at the door, furious, stomping her foot. Sincere, Lawrence, don't you regret this? If I walk out this door today, even if you kneel and beg me to come back later, I won't give you the time of day. She stormed off angrily. So much had happened today. Exhausted, I lay on the bed, my mind involuntarily replaying Felicia's face as she left. I first met her during an outdoor camping trip. I spotted Felicia almost instantly in the crowd. She had a lively personality, easily mingling with strangers, and her smile was infectious. But late that night, I found her crying alone under a tree, a stark contrast to her sunny daytime demeanor. She looked up at me, and the tears on her face hit me hard. In that moment, the only thought in my head was the desire to protect her. Later we exchanged contact information. Chatting idly, I learned she had just gone through a breakup. Feeling sorry for her, I began pursuing her more diligently, asking her out almost every week. She gradually let her guard down around me and finally accepted my confession of love. I thought we would continue like that, eventually walking down the aisle together. Unexpectedly, Ethan Chandler returned from abroad a year ago, and just like that, Felicia immediately reconnected with him. She kept telling me they were just ordinary friends now, but their actions had long since crossed that line. Even this wedding, the original date was supposed to be next month. Felicia insisted on moving it up to today, even giving me the cold shoulder over it. I had no choice but to relent. Looking back now, it seems likely she and Ethan had plotted this all along. The next day, I went to my parents' house and told them I had already registered my marriage with Victoria Mason. My parents were furious about Felicia's outrageous behavior yesterday and fully supported my decision. My mother said, I told you that girlfriend of yours was trouble yesterday. She utterly disgraced the Lawrence family name. I know the Mason girl, Victoria. She's a much better match for you. Your father and I have decided we'll add another $1 million to the wedding gifts and throw in a villa in the Southern District. I want to see that Fletcher woman regret leaving my son. Although the marriage to Victoria was sudden, we couldn't skip the necessary formalities. Carrying the new wedding gifts my parents had prepared, I headed toward Victoria's family home for the traditional visit. Just as I left the villa complex, a flashy red sports car forced me to stop. Felicia leaned out from the driver's seat, her eyes catching sight of the passenger seat and back row of my car piled high with gift boxes, the property deed resting on top. A flicker of triumph crossed her face. You heading to my house, Sincere? She called. You don't really think that after saying such awful things to me yesterday, you can just bribe my parents with this stuff today to speak well of you, do you? Ethan sat beside her, sneering. See, Felicia, didn't I tell you these rich kids think money can buy anything? He tilted his head arrogantly. Ben, Sincere, let me tell you, if you want to win a girl back, sincerity is what matters most. Exactly. Ethan, you understand me best, Felicia replied, a coy smile gracing her lips. The two of them played off each other, claiming to despise money, yet the greed in their eyes was practically spilling over. I turned the steering wheel to back up. No need, I said coldly. My sincerity isn't for those who don't know how to cherish it. Felicia's expression suddenly turned ugly. She got out of the car, stormed over, yanked open my car door, and swept everything from the seats onto the ground. And, Sincere, I told you I won't forgive you easily this time. Don't think you can buy people off with this junk, she screamed. The property deed and gift boxes scattered across the pavement. These were gifts my parents had personally chosen for Victoria's family. My heart ached. I quickly got out of the car to pick them up. Ethan also got out of the car. Pretending not to see, he deliberately stepped squarely on the property deed, leaving a dirty footprint. Furious, I shoved him away. Ethan staggered back, collapsing dramatically onto the ground. Felicia immediately turned reedied and pushed me. Sincere, how dare you hit him? I already told you Ethan and I are just acting. Can't you have a little tolerance? I want to see what's more important in your heart, These things or me? She screamed, stomping madly on the gift boxes like a lunatic. Watching the gifts being utterly destroyed, a vein throbbed in my forehead. Behind Felicia's back, Ethan shot me a defiant look, then added fuel to the fire in a feigned, innocent tone. Felicia, I hate to say it, but look at the kind of boyfriend you found after leaving me. He gets angry and throws tantrums at the drop of a hat. Are you sure he won't be abusive after you get married? I thought I had made myself perfectly clear yesterday. I forcefully pushed Felicia away and started gathering the scattered gift boxes. We have broken up, I said sharply. I hope you two will stop interfering in my life from now on. Felicia's expression froze, a flicker of panic flashing in her eyes, but only for an instant. She forced a smile and said, Sincere, who could you possibly love besides me? Go ahead, act tough. I'll be waiting for the day you come crawling back, regretting this. With that, she and Ethan jumped back into the car and sped off, leaving me to choke on their exhaust fumes. I couldn't contain my anger. Watching the red sports car disappear, I suddenly remembered that car Felicia was driving. It was a gift from me. Normally, I wouldn't care about gifts I had given away, but their repeated provocations had pushed me past my limit. I decided it was time to reclaim what I had given. After rearranging the gifts, I went to the Mason's house. Victoria's parents were also furious about Ethan's despicable actions. Learning that Victoria and I were already married, they couldn't stop smiling. Good. Victoria's father, Robert Mason, clapped me on the shoulder, laughing heartily. I always said my daughter deserved better. After dinner, Victoria took me for a walk in their small garden to aid digestion. I asked her, Has Ethan been bothering you lately? She rolled her eyes. Has he ever stopped? He deliberately flaunts Felicia in front of me, living in his fantasy world where I'm supposed to get jealous and come begging for his forgiveness. I reassured her, Don't worry, after tomorrow his little dream world is going to shatter. She laughed, a small dimple appearing beside her lips. I found myself momentarily captivated. My gaze made her blush, and she playfully poked my chest, trying to look stern. Do you think those two disasters will flip out and try to crash our wedding tomorrow when they find out? She asked. I thumped my chest in assurance. Relax, I've arranged for double the security at the hotel this time. I guarantee not even an extra fly will get into our wedding venue. Before dawn, the makeup artist roused me from bed. It wasn't until I put on the suit and stood before the mirror that the reality of getting married again truly sank in. Picking up the bride went smoothly. I carried Victoria into the wedding car, and we slowly headed towards the hotel. Unexpectedly, upon arrival, a large crowd was blocking the entrance, arguing loudly. Looking closer, I saw it was Felicia Fletcher and her relatives, 6 of them in total. Felicia was wearing a white-themed outfit similar to her wedding attire from a few days ago, surrounded by her family. What's going on up there? Victoria mumbled, unable to see clearly. I soothed her. Wait in the car, I'll go check it out. After I got out, Felicia looked at me, still wearing a sulky expression. In contrast, her parents, Gerald and Agnes Fletcher, gave me ingratiating smiles. Son-in-law, Gerald Fletcher said, forcing a smile. Felicia was definitely in the wrong the other day. I've already given her a harsh lesson. He forcefully pushed Felicia toward me. I stepped aside, making no effort to hide my disgust. Mind yourself, we've already broken up. Felicia crossed her arms, sneering. Sincere, what are you pretending for? I heard all about it. After I left that day, you not only went to my favorite jewelry store to order a bigger diamond ring, but you also chose this even more luxurious hotel. Isn't it obvious you're trying to win me back? She tilted her head towards the long line of wedding cars behind me, making such a huge spectacle, even having my parents drag me here. When did you learn to resort to emotional blackmail? Well, I'm here now, satisfied. Her parents hissed at her urgently. Watch your mouth, Felicia. Felicia, however, was still lost in her own fantasy, while her parents had grasped reality much faster. After all, just yesterday, I had deliberately sent my lawyer to their house to demand the return of all the valuable assets I had gifted. Many things during my relationship with Felicia, but it was only now that her parents realized just how much she had overplayed her hand. Their frantic efforts to dress her up and bring her here today were a result of that realization. But Felicia, still looking smug, saw me in a new suit and her expression soured. She snapped, Is this how you apologize? Look at what you're wearing today. It doesn't match my dress at all. Sincere, I'll give you half an hour to go back and change. If you don't, I'm not going through with this wedding today. It was like she couldn't understand plain English. My anger flared. What the hell does it have to do with me? Marry me or don't, I don't care. Get out of the way. Her face turned ugly. Sincere, you dare swear at me? When do you even want to get married, today or not? I looked at her, smiling faintly. Of course I do. Just not to you. Felicia's eyes went wide with disbelief as I stood my ground. Before she could say anything, Victoria, wearing a champagne-colored gown that matched my suit perfectly, stepped out of the car and walked up to my side. She linked her arm through mine, smiling brightly. Darling, if we don't hurry, we'll miss the auspicious time. Felicia's eyes instantly turned red with fury. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Pointing a trembling finger at me, she screamed, Sincere Lawrence, what the hell is this? I know I hate that fake woman Victoria Mason the most. Are you deliberately using her to provoke me? Fine, I admit it, I said flatly, showing no sign of guilt. You really got to me this time. You win. I agree to forgive you. Get back together with me and marry me now. Hurry up and get rid of this. I shook off her hand, signaling for the hotel manager. Ted, security over here, quickly. Felicia looked at Victoria with a triumphant malice. Victoria, you really are shameless, aren't you? First you tried to steal Ethan from me, and now you're trying to steal Sincere? You just have to butt into everything I like. Let me tell you, you're doomed to fail. Sincere only has eyes for me, and if I were you, I'd leave right now. Otherwise it'll be really humiliating when security throws you out. Without hesitation, I pointed at Felicia and said, Get this crazy woman and all these irrelevant people out of here. Don't let them ruin my wedding day. Felicia froze. Throw me out. As the security guards grabbed her, she kicked wildly, screaming. Sincere, you're telling them to throw me out? What do you mean you're not actually going to marry Victoria? Are you? Oh, you're crazy. She's Ethan's girlfriend. I ignored her, picking Victoria up in my arms and heading for the hotel entrance. Behind me, Felicia panicked, struggling and screaming like a madwoman. Let me go? I'm the bride today. If you don't let me go, I'll have my husband fire all of you. Then, husband, don't go. I'm your wife. All these years we've been together. Are you just throwing me away? In my arms, Victoria rolled her eyes repeatedly, clearly fed up with Felicia. She tapped my arm, signaling me to put her down. Victoria stomped over to Felicia and delivered a sharp slap across her face. Half of Felicia's face immediately swelled up. You dare hit me? Felicia stammered, but before she could finish her sentence, Victoria slapped the other side of her face. Victoria took our marriage certificate from her bridesmaid's bag and waved it in Felicia's face. Who are you calling husband? Sincere Lawrence is my legal husband now. Are you addicted to being the other woman or something? Seeing the marriage certificate, Felicia's face drained of color. No, impossible. When did this happen? I answered calmly. The same day you decided to run off with Ethan. The moment you two eloped, Victoria and I went straight to get our marriage license. And because I realized an indecisive woman like you doesn't deserve my love. Felicia's expression grew even uglier, and she burst into tears, desperately reaching for me. Sincere, you love me, don't you? Why did you marry her? Zeno, you're angry I abandoned you at the wedding, but I explained it was just an act. How could you marry her? The audacity she had to question me was laughable. With so many people watching, I had initially planned to spare her some dignity out of respect for our past relationship, but she just wouldn't let it go. I had my assistant bring out the evidence I had prepared and threw it harshly in Felicia's face. Madonna, act? Does acting require going this far? But don't try to pretty up cheating. I said. It was a stack of photos taken secretly by someone I had hired, showing Felicia and Ethan in various places embracing, kissing, and even getting intimate on a balcony on their wedding day. The photos scattered across the ground for everyone to see. Felicia's parents, seeing their daughter's disgraceful behavior, blushed crimson with shame, wishing the ground would swallow them up. Felicia, on the other hand, was deathly pale. Oh no, it's not Sincere. I didn't mean to. Ethan and I broke up long ago. He forced me to do all this. The one I truly love is still you. I kicked her hand away. I'm not in the habit of cuckolding myself. With that, I picked up Victoria again and began walking into the hotel. Unexpectedly, the next moment, Another heart-wrenching shout came from behind. Ethan Chandler arrived, looking disheveled, blocking my path, and trying to snatch Victoria from my arms. Victoria, you can't marry him. I don't agree. Even a worm will turn, I thought. First Felicia, now Ethan, taking turns playing the regretful lover in front of me. The fury I had been suppressing finally erupted. I kicked Ethan away, placed Victoria safely aside, and then jumped on top of him, relentlessly raining punches. Ton, you son of a b, you're getting addicted to crashing weddings, huh? Just as I was getting into it, Victoria suddenly shouted, Sincere, let go. I froze, a bitter taste filling my mouth. I remembered that just 3 days ago Victoria was still Ethan's girlfriend, and they supposedly had a very strong relationship. Was she regretting it now? Was seeing Ethan stir up old feelings? Did she want to call off the wedding? The thought made my heart ache. Was I really that terrible that women kept abandoning me one after another? The next second, Victoria pushed me aside. Don't kill him, let me. She took off one of her high heels, gripping it like a weapon, and started furiously striking Ethan's face and body with the heel. Bastard! How dare you show your face in front of me again, leaving me at the altar to run off with another woman. That's a capital offense in my book. This is my wedding day, and you dare show up to ruin it? I'll beat you so bad your own mother won't recognize you. Ethan covered his head, writhing and screaming in pain. Victoria, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I only used Felicia to make you jealous. I didn't really want to break up with you. I still love you. Please, I'm sorry, don't marry him, marry me. I'll promise you anything. I'll treat you right this time. Victoria smacked him across the mouth with the sole of her shoe. You worthless bastard. You're not even worthy of a single strand of my hair. You want to marry me? Go eat dirt. It was the first time I'd seen Victoria this fierce. No one expected that on their wedding day the bride and groom would be beating someone up at the hotel entrance. Everyone around was stunned. After a moment, the hotel manager arrived. I snapped back to reality, quickly ordering the security guards to escort the disruptive individuals out. Victoria put her shoes back on and looked at me, slightly awkward. Sorry, I got a little too worked up seeing that scumbag. Did we miss the auspicious time? No, I said, catching my breath. She extended her hand towards me tentatively. So, are we still getting married today? I smiled, taking her hand and lacing my fingers with hers. Absolutely. With the efficient staff guiding us and both our parents as witnesses, the ceremony was finally completed successfully. As Victoria and I exchanged rings on stage, I caught a glimpse of Felicia and Ethan crouching outside the hall doors, desperately peering through the crack. They were like leeches clinging on even after security had tried to remove them. The guards could only stand by the main entrance to prevent further disruptions. When Victoria and I exchanged our vows, Felicia and Ethan shouted at the top of their lungs, I don't agree with this. Sincere, you can't marry her. Victoria, you can't marry him. Thankfully, their voices were drowned out by the cheers, applause, and blessings from the guests inside. Even if we had heard them, it wouldn't have made a difference. Victoria and I were already legally married, and nothing could shake that bond. Later that night, as we lay side by side on the festive red wedding quilt, both of us exhausted, we chatted idly. Somehow we ended up talking about those two unfortunate souls, Ethan and Felicia. Curiously, I asked her, what happened at your wedding with Ethan that day? How did he suddenly end up crashing mine? Victoria gritted her teeth. That dog replaced the wedding video with a PowerPoint presentation about his family's rules. He demanded I kneel, serve tea to his parents on stage, sign a prenuptial agreement, quit my job, have 4 kids, and even make my parents list him as the heir to their fortune. When I refused, he threatened to call off the wedding and just ran off. She sighed. I chased after him, but when I saw him running away with your bride, I knew the truth. Different people have different ways of being despicable. We both sighed deeply, commiserating over our past misfortunes with poor partners. Then I asked, so when you agreed to marry me, weren't you afraid I might be just like Ethan? She thought for a few seconds before rolling over onto her side, propping her chin on her hand and studying me with eyes that held something warm. Honestly, there was a risk. I didn't have strong feelings for Ethan. I was planning to break up with him by the end of the year anyway. But my dad's health hasn't been great, and he really wanted to see me married and settled with someone who could take care of me. If it wasn't Ethan, it would have been some other guy. But that day, when I saw you on stage, The heartbreak and loneliness in your eyes were so real. I just felt sorry for you. Luckily, I guess my gamble paid off. You stood up for me against Felicia and Ethan. You protected me. That made me believe you're someone I can rely on. I reached out, wrapping my arm around her waist, her delicate fragrance filling my senses. Victoria looked at me with deep affection. A strange sense of joy bloomed within me. Her cheeks flushed crimson as she gently closed her eyes, her lashes fluttering, offering a silent invitation. I leaned in and kissed her lips. Later that night, in the passionate depths of the evening, her arms wrapped around my neck, her body moving with mine, I gently nibbled her earlobe and whispered, "Don't worry, I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret the decision you made that day." 3 days after the wedding, local customs dictated a visit to the bride's family home. Loaded with gifts prepared by my parents, I drove Victoria to the Mason's house. And just as we left our neighborhood, someone blocked our path. Felicia Fletcher's figure once again came into view. She stood in front of the car, arms outstretched. My reaction had gone from annoyance to numbness. How had I never realized just how persistent Felicia was? Victoria patted my arm. "Let me talk to her. I'll wait in the car." As soon as I got out, Felicia rushed forward, trying to take my hand. I impatiently pushed her away. "Spit it out. I have things to do. No time to waste playing games with you." She put on a wounded expression. "Sincere, are you really so impatient now that you can't even spare a few words for me?" Pure nonsense. I turned to leave, but she called out sharply, stammering out her purpose. "It's just those things you gave me before. Can you please not take them back?" I laughed. Over the past 2 days, my company's legal department had visited the Fletchers and reclaimed all the high-value assets I had gifted Felicia during our relationship. This included the large apartment her parents were living in, their car, and Felicia's flashy red sports car. Altogether, they were worth millions. Now that we were no longer involved, why should I continue gifting her such expensive things? "Sincere, I know I was wrong. I've cut ties with Ethan. Can you please give me another chance?" she pleaded tearfully. "But everyone makes mistakes, right? Didn't you immediately move on to that Victoria Mason right after we broke up? Technically, you're the one at fault in this relationship, so what right do you have to take back the things you gave me?" She had the nerve to turn the tables and blame me. When it came down to it, she just couldn't bear to part with my money. I was genuinely tired. My voice was flat. "Felicia, you know perfectly well whose fault this is. I've already shown you considerable decency. It's my money. I'll give it to whomever I please. It's none of your business. If you keep harassing me, I'll send the lawyers back to your house tomorrow to collect all the bags and jewelry too. Those items combined are worth at least 200,000 or 300,000. At the mention of returning everything, Felicia immediately shut up. I looked at the woman I had loved for several years. She looked like she hadn't slept well these past few days, her face gaunt, eyes bloodshot, dark circles under her eyes so prominent that heavy makeup couldn't conceal them. There was still a faint handprint on her cheek, likely from her angry parents. If this had been the old me, seeing her like this would have broken my heart, but now I felt nothing. On the day you walked out of the wedding, you told me you couldn't forget Ethan. Now that I've let you go to be with him, why are you still bothering me? Since you both still have feelings for each other, why don't you just get married quickly and try to make a life together?" At the mention of Ethan, disgust flashed in Felicia's eyes. "Impossible. I could never marry Ethan. I broke up with him in the first place because I couldn't stand his family. Not much money, but an endless list of ridiculous rules. I remember saying I'd rather stay single forever than marry Ethan. I was at a loss for words. If she didn't want to marry Ethan, why stage that whole elopement drama in the first place? All I could say was, you reap what you sow. Her current situation was entirely her own doing. "Felicia, I'm warning you one last time," I said firmly. "I'm married now. Please stop interfering in my life. I know very well that if I really wanted to make things difficult for you, I have plenty of ways to do it." Once I completely cut ties with Felicia, Ethan continued to harass Victoria. He waited for her downstairs at her company, holding flowers, making a big scene, and humbling himself to confess his love and apologize. He even pulled out a diamond ring, knelt on one knee, and proposed to her again. Bystanders egged Victoria on, telling her to accept, but Victoria wasn't having any of it. She slapped Ethan's handsome face back and forth until it was swollen like a pig's head. She also loudly broadcasted all of Ethan's misdeeds, the elopement, the cheating, the bizarre family rules. The entire incident was filmed by onlookers and uploaded online, and now everyone knew that Ethan Chandler was nothing more than a scumbag. His reputation was completely ruined. After that, Victoria and I went on our honeymoon. We had new wedding photos taken and renewed our vows in a church in Paris, promising each other a lifetime of companionship. Upon returning, the next we heard about Felicia and Ethan was splashed across the front page of the city's newspaper. With Ethan's reputation destroyed and unable to win Victoria back, he went crawling back to Felicia. Although Felicia had sworn she wouldn't marry him, she still harbored feelings for him. A few sweet words from him were enough to reel her back in. This time, Ethan deliberately sabotaged the condoms. When Felicia ended up pregnant, he brought his parents to the Fletcher's house to formally propose marriage. Felicia had already had several abortions for Ethan in the past, and the doctor had warned her that if she didn't carry this pregnancy to term, she might never be able to have children of her own. Faced with no other choice, they had a shotgun wedding. After the hasty ceremony, Felicia moved into the Chandler household, where their bizarre family rules began to be enforced on her one by one. She had to wake up at 5 a.m. to cook breakfast for the entire family. Women weren't allowed to eat at the main table and had to kneel on the floor while listening to lectures from her father-in-law and mother-in-law. Felicia was tormented until she was just a shadow of her former self, and eventually she lost the baby. When Felicia complained to Ethan, he just mocked her, saying, "I told you to control your lower half back then, didn't I? Did you think you were still the precious high society wife? Now that you've married into my family, you follow my family's rules." Felicia wanted a divorce, but her in-laws refused, even locking her in her room. Finally pushed beyond her endurance, Felicia waited until the whole family was asleep late one night, poured gasoline throughout the house, and set it ablaze, taking everyone, including herself, down in flames. When I saw the news, Victoria shivered with lingering fear. Thank goodness Ethan ran off that day. I was so lucky I didn't marry into that family. I should thank Ethan for not marrying me. I suppose that's what they mean when they say fate protects the fortunate. I smiled and wrapped my arm around her waist. Tonight, I'll make your favorite sweet and sour ribs to help calm your nerves. Y'all team. She threw a pillow at me, feigning annoyance. Sincere Lawrence, stop tempting me with delicious food. You've already made me gain weight.